A thread by Carlos Osuida. More circumstantial evidence that the explosion in the Beirut port was deliberate. Here's my first thread, my second thread. The grain silos next to the warehouse that contained what I think was Octogen or HMX rocket fuel, two names for the same stuff, are still standing despite being damaged. These silos contain Lebanon's strategic grain reserves. That's why the Iranians put their missiles beside it. But the silos were virtually empty. From spglobal.com, quote, "It is believed the silos did not contain huge quantities of grain at the time of the explosion, as the country tried to meet a shortage of bread that surfaced recently. Lebanon, which is in the midst of a financial crisis, has to depend on wheat imports to secure food supply, as domestic production covers only 10% of the country's consumption. Wheat accounts for more than 80% of Lebanon's agricultural imports, followed by corn and barley. Most of the wheat enters through the terminal that took the hit." So, the right time to destroy the missile depot would be when the strategic grain reserves had already been used and the country was consuming as much as it was importing. The Lebanese are lying about ammonium nitrate being taken from a sinking ship 12 years ago. What actually happened was that in 2013 or 2014, not 2008, the MV Rosas, the ship that was sinking, for unknown reasons, entered the port of Beirut with a cargo of, quote, explosives. The search port state control of the International Maritime Organization deemed the ship to be not seaworthy. From that point on, we don't know what happened. Fleetmon.com, crew kept hostages on a floating bomb, I think it says. Let's just get the title of the article for you. Link in the description. Make sure to check it out. And crew kept hostages on a floating bomb, MV Rosas, Beirut. The fact that the Lebanese are lying about what exploded proves that something else exploded. Lebanon is on the verge of becoming a failed state. There's absolutely no way that the Lebanese government would hold on to free fertilizer and not distribute it to farmers. The Lebanese are saying that the ammonium nitrate was in an unsecured warehouse. No way, it's too valuable. The Rosas, the ship that was not allowed to leave the port in Beirut, has a cargo capacity of 3,226 tons. How much of that was ammonium nitrate? Check this out. Let's check out this video, see if it's okay. Okay, in all your time in the field, have you ever seen a blast this big? That's a 5-minute video, so I'm not going to play it, but check it out. Link in the description. In this video, it reveals 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate, they claim. Yeah. If that much ammonium nitrate had gone off, the whole area would be flattened. It was an Iranian missile depot. First, the warheads were destroyed, and then the HMX, the Octogen, rocket fuel was destroyed in 2 batches. So far, I've seen individual buildings destroyed, but there's a building right next to it that's intact. They're all built the same way, so it looks as though these were targeted. Now, you may be aware that somebody is destroying Iran's nuclear and missile capabilities. Vox.com, mysterious explosions keep happening in Iran. Israel is likely behind it. People always think it's Israel, but since 2018, the Israelis have been quite open about their attacks on Iranian forces. Multiple Gulf Arab countries have astonishing capabilities. They carried out the largest amphibious landing in the history of the Middle East, totally undetected. Video in the description from YouTube. Yemen, hundreds of Saudi tanks rolled out of Aden. The tanks in the video are going to be Emirati Leclerc main battle tanks and BMP-3 infantry fighting vehicles. The Houthis, those are the enemies of the Yemeni government, and the Saudis are helping the Yemenis fight against them. The Houthis created a minefield 5 miles deep south of Taiz. They created concrete fighting posts with anti-tank missiles and anti-tank rockets. They surrounded Taiz with heavy artillery and threatened to bombard it if an invasion was attempted. On August 5th, 2015, all the crews of all the guns surrounding Taiz were killed simultaneously, and the Yemeni forces appeared in the city center. Nobody knows how they got there. No aircraft were seen. If they'd crossed the 5-mile wide minefield, they did it in 90 minutes. Among the celebrating militiamen were quiet men who resolutely looked away from the camera or covered their faces. Look at the tall, skinny guy on the left, and then the man in the background drinking from a plastic bottle. You see the guy on the left, he looks away. Then, dude drinking from a plastic bottle. Next frame. He covers his face. The Gulf Arabs keep all their advanced capabilities secret. Donald Trump and Mike Pence are the only Western leaders ever briefed on full Saudi military capabilities. The Saudis did this so that Trump would understand their actions. The actions the Saudis gave Trump the reasons the Saudis gave Trump such a massive welcome is that he agreed to change our policy. Now we only help, and only when asked. No more wars. So, what about targeting terrorist weapons depots and commanders' houses and residential areas? Customary international humanitarian law and the Geneva Conventions both state that it is unlawful to put weapons and commanders' posts in civilian areas. And causing collateral damage is not a war crime. Quote, Article 51(5)b of the 1977 Additional Protocol 1 prohibits an attack which may be expected to cause incidental loss of human life, injury to civilians, damage to civilian objects, or a combination thereof, which would be excessive in relation to the concrete and direct military advantage anticipated. Here's the second key restriction. Under Article 85(3)b of the 1977 Additional Protocol 1, launching an indiscriminate attack affecting the civilian population or civilian objects in the knowledge that such attack will cause excessive loss of life, injury to civilians, or damage to civilian objects, as defined in Article 57, paragraph 2A3, is a grave breach. Incidental civilian loss of life is allowed as long as it's proportional. Indiscriminate attacks on civilians is prohibited. The Iranian missiles were destroyed in an effort to prevent another 2006 Israeli-Hezbollah war. It was a catastrophe for both Lebanon and Israel. That has created the myth of Hezbollah as a regional superpower. It also wiped out the Lebanese opposition to Hezbollah and damaged Israel's reputation unfairly worldwide. The destruction of the Iranian missile depot was necessary. Superhuman efforts were made to spare civilians. The Lebanese cover story is a transparent lie, but Lebanon is under the thumb of Hezbollah and Iran. What you should be thinking about is this: another goddamn war avoided. Many thousands of lives saved. And that's a good thing.